Once again, heartiest welcome to Global Talk Show by Business Power Academy, Netherlands. And today, in our talk show, we have an amazing guest from South Africa, none other than Roger Lachman. Welcome, Roger, to our show. It's a great privilege and honor for me to host you today.
Thank you very much, Supriya, and to all the viewers. Good evening, good morning, Vanakkam, Namaste to all of you. Yes.
Well, today my guest is very, very special because we have a great knowledge, a great, you can say, determined person, and a very enthusiastic journey which you are going to witness it. So without taking a pause, without taking a break, and without any second, let's start our beautiful global journey with Roger. And Roger, before I move to my questions, everybody is waiting for you, your incredible journey, which is going to inspire today millions.
Thank you. So, as I'm not sure if many of your viewers know, but there are about 1 million or more people of Indian origin that are in South Africa, like myself. And, we arrived in South Africa. Well, my forefathers arrived in South Africa because I was born here. And my forefathers arrived because the British had brought Indians from India. Many of them were lied to, but that is history. And to come and work based on the farms. Eventually they came to be working on the farms. Many of them were working in the sugar plantations that were on the coast of Natal in Durban, and Durban, north of Durban and south of Durban, which is a third largest city in South Africa. And I was born there. My mother was born there as well, and but my mother's father apparently came from India, whom I've not met, unfortunately. And then on my father's side, my father's grandfather arrived from India. So the British at the time needed help on the farms, and they thought, well, because India was a British colony already, it was easy for them to entice young people to come to South Africa to work. And they were put onto ships and under very stressful conditions, under very cruel conditions, I could say, and brought to South Africa, because after they had signed up and got onto the ship, only then, I think, did they realize that this was not going to be a pleasant experience. So when they arrived in South Africa, they were given contracts to work for 5 years to work for a particular farmer. So effectively, they were slaves with a small pittance. They were paid very little. So the fact that they were paid and they had a contract with a farmer, I think in the minds of the British, because they had, they didn't want to call them slaves. But effectively, they were slaves. They worked. We know about, we have heard stories about harsh conditions in which our forefathers lived through. Yes, yeah. So that was it. And then I was born in Durban, a poor family, because, so after that, when the British had left, South Africa was decolonized by the British. We had another group of people, the Dutch people, who had come in South Africa in 1652, and but derivatives of the Dutch then took control of the country, and we know that the country was then gone through a period where apartheid was instilled in the country. And apartheid simply meant that white people had many privileges, and if you and Indian people less privileges, and black people of the indigenous black people from African people from South Africa had less privileges as well. So yeah, so we had gone through further challenges by living under the apartheid rule, which I actually experienced as well. So with that, you couldn't live in very good areas. You had areas that were confined where only Indians could live. You had areas where only whites could live. So they had all the best properties. White people, Europeans. When we talk about whites, we talk about people of who came from Europe, European, mainly from Europe. Were here, and they had the properties along the coast near the beaches, beautiful properties that they and again, Indians were Indians, and then the blacks uh, lived under very pathetic conditions. There were not enough schooling for us, so my parents never really got to go to school because they were not school. There were very few schools available. And but however, I think like all Indians, uh, uh, education is one of the most important things. So my father and my mother tried to educate themselves as best as they could, but they made sure that myself and my siblings all got the very best education as best as they could afford at that time. And yeah, so I managed to finish uh, a secondary school or high school, and unfortunately there was no money for me to go to university or college. So I then wrote during my last year in school of high school. I was writing to different companies to say, well, I'm finishing my last year of school, and I would like to get a job with your company, because through that I'll be able to go to study in the evening. So that's what I did when I finished school. Um, in fact, I got a response while I was still in school by one company, a firm of chartered accountants, because I wanted to be an accountant. And I got I got a response, and I phoned them, and they said, please come for an interview. I was busy with my final year exams. And then I said, well, I'm busy with my final year exams, but can I come the day after I wrote my last exam? So I went for the interview and I got the job. So I didn't even have my results from my final exams, but they offered me a job. And I started in the new year, because our schooling year runs from January to December. So I finished, and in January I started a new job, um, not having much of a break from school. And yeah, and then I used to go to work in the mornings, and after work I used to go to college to study accounting. Um, so I did that, and that's how I managed. I got through life. Sadly, my dad passed away a few years later, and I moved to Johannesburg, and then a few years later on, my mom also passed on. Yeah, but I left where the majority of Indians are living in Durban, because you have a far better opportunities in Johannesburg. So advice to people is that you can't be confined and worrying to inherit property, or that because my parents' home was there. But if I had been there, I would have not been able to make a success of my life, because you are just confined.
Very true.
As I said, I
Yeah.
beg your pardon. Yeah. So I had to move to greener pastures. And Johannesburg offered me the opportunity where obviously commerce is much bigger. There's much greater opportunities in industry and in commerce here in Johannesburg. And so I moved up to Johannesburg at a very early age. I was alone. I think I was not even 19 when I moved to Johannesburg. So that is essentially the story.
Very,
And
yeah.
and then I continued to study, doing short courses wherever I possibly could, and taking opportunities whenever I could. And a few years ago, I was offered the opportunity to do a master's degree in law, although I've never done an undergraduate degree in law, and I didn't have an undergraduate degree at all. Uh, so I took the opportunity to study to do that, and so hence I hold a master's degree in law from the University of Salford in Manchester, UK. However, I've had some lucky or opportunities, where I was able to pursue. I was at Ernst and Young. I was in the corporate finance division at Ernst and Young because of my experience in accounting and my knowledge and all of that. And then since then, while I was there, I decided, well, I've been in accounting practices for most of my life. And I decided to focus on corporate governance and through that ethics ethics and integrity. And so maybe to skip, I know that we have some constraint on time, but uh, earlier this year, I created an organization called the International Institute for Ethical for Ethical Governance and Accountability. Okay, and we have a broad spectrum of board members. One of which is Drago Kos from Slovenia. He's a world-renowned expert in anti-corruption and anti-bribery,
Yeah.
and Professor Dr. Shiv Tripathi from the Dean of the Berlin School of Business. He is used to previously, I met him when he was the Vice Chancellor of Atmiya University in Gujarat.
Awesome.
And yes, and then I have Brigadier General Dan Kuwali, who's also a doctor and a professor from Malawi, who's on my board, and Talib Uzzaman from Pakistan, also a very renowned anti-corruption expert from there. And we have country directors in Malaysia, Nigeria, the US, Mexico, Ecuador, Peru, and a few other countries. Yeah. So certainly looking forward to going to India later this month so that we can start a chapter in India. Very dynamic, and I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. This
So
is,
that's the journey so far.
yeah. And I must say, Roger, that your journey, which you had told, it's like, a roller coaster journey. Sometimes up, sometimes when you're flowing with the flow of the life. And that is called, you have to move with the life. And this is really
Absolutely.
great when you told about the conditions, the past conditions, how people were struggling, and how people just moved out of those, dark dreams. And now the life is so cool, but with the hard work, with the dedication, and with the passion which you have narrated, it's really awesome. And I'm sure people who are watching us live or going to watch this video later on, they are just going to have lot of inspiration from your life journey, and they are not going to give up in their dreams even when they had to travel some other country, because as you said about the racism, as you said about the different culture, different climate, and this all you had crossed, Roger, in such a lucid manner that it is really, really, I appreciate it. Awesome one. Well, this is about your incredible journey of Roger. But Roger, still, I would love to know, in your life journey, is ever happened some kind of challenges you had faced and that those challenges really knocked you down? So kindly share some of those experiences of life so that we can just enlighten, we can just have some motivation from those challenges.
I'm not sure if I actually remember. I'm the kind of guy that if life knocks me down, or better still, a cousin of mine said to me, "When life throws lemons at you, you must make lemonade." So I can't really
Exactly.
specifically mention. I can't really remember anything because I forget, those bad moments or those challenges because I've got, I make a plan to make life much easier and better for us. But I think one of the obviously the challenges, the sad moments, obviously, was with the passing of my father initially and my mother. I wish that my mother had been here. Well, both my parents had been here to, because at the time when both of them passed on, I was still struggling to get to a plateau, to a reasonable, well, plateau that I could afford to give them things. I couldn't, unfortunately, at that time. It's been a long struggle, but at least today, I wish that they were here, but God has his own will for life, and we can't dictate on that. But yeah, I think those are some of the things that I wished could have been different. And but I still continue to aspire to do things differently, to look for different opportunities, but at the same time also help others, to help others to also grow up. Because um, to me, I always say, I'd rather have 5% of the ocean than to have 100% of a fish tank. Because when you are together alone in a fish tank,
Very
you can
true.
only swim. You can only swim round and round and round,
In a
and you only
limited,
have a limited
yeah,
space
yeah.
and limited opportunities. Whereas if you are prepared to give up and share with others, then take 5% of the ocean, because you have the vast expanse of everything that you can do. And you can also count on people who can then help you when in situations that you find yourself stuck in. So that is my belief. My quote that I'd like to leave the legacy with is that, rather have 5% of the ocean than 100% of a fish tank.
Awesome. And these lines will really are going to motivate my global audience because yes, I do agree. Challenges really made us, and it totally depend on us how we take the challenges, whether we are going to break ourselves or we are going to make ourselves. So it's all about
Absolutely.
the perception of our life, how we see, how we react, how we respond, and that's make us very strong. So thank you so much, Roger, for this beautiful question. And people are going to love this answer of yours, and they are going to implement in their life journey too. Well, moving to this beautiful journey and inspiring journey of Global Talk Show with Roger. Roger, now the question comes about your profession, about your work, what kind of work you're into. So kindly enlighten our global audience with your awesome work.
Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, I've been focusing on corporate governance on probably through most of my life. I was an accountant, uh, and I studied law. So what I've done was, over the last few years, I've put that all together, and I run. So since 2006, I've been running a business, a consulting business that deals with Black economic empowerment. So since the demise of apartheid in South Africa, and with the new government taking over, etc., we had policies in place in South Africa where those that have been disadvantaged, like myself and Black people, etc., the government affords us certain benefits, uh, so within business. So my company advises companies on how to best deal with those things and to get them. And we also we audit those businesses. We audit businesses to ensure that they are complying with the what we call Black economic empowerment codes of good practice. So with that being said, we also have a training company that does training of people and skills development. I think skills development is very, very important. And of late, I have been focusing on ethics and integrity and anti-corruption. So right now, I'm about to launch a new. In fact, I'm sitting in my car, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm on my way from from my attorneys. We're going to be setting up a new company that that will be um, uh, through the university. I have a partnership with the university that we will be running programs on ethics and integrity, training programs on ethics and integrity and in anti-corruption globally, all over the world. And it'll be short executive programs with the backing of a reputable university in Europe. So watch this space. That is what we're going to be. That is what I'm going to be doing soon. I've also been involved. I'm on the board of the French South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I also serve on a very interesting organization called the World Innovation Technology Services Alliance, which is VITSA based in the US. Those of you who are in Malaysia, please, I will be in passing through Kuala Lumpur, going to Sarawak for a conference I'll be speaking at in October. That's organized by VITSA. I also serve on the B20, which India is hosting the G20. The B20 is also part of
Yeah.
India. The secretariat is run by CII, the Confederation of Indian Industries, and I'll be in Delhi at the end of this month, 23rd, 24th of this month, uh, depending on certain things. But which is the culmination of the B20 report. So we'll be handing over the B20 report to the G20 Secretariat.
Wow, this is
Uh,
really great. Awesome one.
yeah. So I was in India, so that's why I come to India fairly often. And today we have news that Prime Minister Modi will be coming to South Africa, probably around about the same time.
Yeah.
But apart from that, another thing that I probably very importantly is that I'm also the consul general. I'm the honorary consul general of Georgia in Johannesburg. So I represent the country of Georgia, which is in Central Europe, a beautiful country, and where I know that there's lots of students from India that do go to Georgia to study, especially in medicine, and they're also very good in air for air for air crew, pilots, etc. Lots of schools there for uh, in the airline industry.
I
So yeah,
must say,
that's
yeah, this is the endless journey which Roger is doing, and I'm sure he's going to get flourish and more as he progresses. And Roger, you are doing a great job when you told about so many streams that you're touching about training, skills. So here I would love to connect all the global educators, trainers, coaches, those who want to get flourish in their career. Kindly connect with Roger. He's there on LinkedIn, and you can be a part. And let's connect, let's grow together, and let's rise and shine together. And this will be awesome for everyone. So hats off to you, Roger, for your great, inspiring, and motivating work in your work, career, and profession. That's really awesome. Well, now the
thank you
time
so much,
is
Supriya.
coming. Yeah, now the time has come, Roger, to know about your dreams. What are your mission and vision, and what are your plans for your future? So kindly enlighten that too.
Well, as I said, I've never been to university, and so I've never lived the life of campus. I've never been on a campus. I've visited universities. I've given guest lectures recently, um, and hopefully there are plans soon for me to be involved in the faculty. But my vision is for us to open a university that is totally dedicated to ethics and integrity and anti-corruption. So programs, I'm busy with that to try and set up a universe. Well, the plans are that in the next 2 years or so, we will start with the plans to develop a university, maybe earlier, and that will focus entirely on programs in different sectors, how to deal with ethics, integrity, anti-corruption, and good governance. So that is my vision. I would say is to set up the university. Yeah, a guy that has never gone to university to set up a university. So
Awesome.
I hope that I will be able to achieve that uh,
Of course,
in
you
my
will
life.
be. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that is the vision, I think.
Wow. And I must say that your vision and mission, which is saying about opening a university, this is really, really great because imparting education is really, and you can say, a pious work which we will do for selflessly for the society and for the humanity. And so many people needs education today, because education is just like a light, and
Yes,
that
but it's
too.
this one's
Yeah,
unique, Supriya. It's
yeah,
unique where it's going to focus entirely upon a standard of living that is
yeah,
ethical and one that is with integrity.
very
So
true.
it's only going to be focusing on those issues in terms of ethics, integrity, and good corporate governance. But yeah. So
This is
and
very
not to do anything else, but just to focus on those areas.
exactly. And I think these ethics, which you told, this is really need a proper attention by so many people who wants to explore, who wants to learn something and do something in their life, particularly in this niche area. So it's great, Roger. And
Absolutely,
I am sure you are going to do this. So next time when we are meeting, you're going to tell me something about this plan too. So congratulations
absolutely.
in advance, I'm telling to you. Yeah, great.
Thank you so much, Supriya. Thank you very much.
Well, now we all are waiting from Roger, short and crisp, a powerful message, and this is going to enlighten all our global audience who are watching us live. So kindly inspire us once again with a powerful message, Roger.
You know, my, my parting message would be there's one word that I've always used and that I like to part with when I share to younger people. The word is perseverance. When one door closes on you, knock on the next door. Okay, don't just wait and let things develop, because nothing's going to develop. When you plant a seed, okay, when you plant a seed, that seed is not going to develop until you got to make sure that it's planted in good in good soil. But more importantly, you got to water that seed, right? Now when it comes to perseverance, I find a lot of people, when you go somewhere and somebody says, oh no, we can't do this, they say, okay, sorry, yeah, maybe I will do something else. But maybe, look at it, maybe you spoke to the wrong person. Okay, maybe that person is not the person that you should be dealing with.
Exactly.
Sometimes go to the top, deal with deal with people at the top, and then let them deal with it going downwards. So to me, if you don't persevere, you're never going to get anything in life. A lot of the times, uh, life is a struggle, but more importantly, many people that are out there, don't really do their jobs, or they're too busy to focus on you as an individual, and they say, no, it's fine, we don't have this or we don't have that. But keep knocking and persevere to get to the right person, and you'll be able to see how doors open. You should be able to, I've never let that to be a deterrent in my life, because if I want something, I get it. I make sure that I get it. It must be reasonable, I mean, but if I know that this thing is within my grasp and I am going to go and get it, I make sure that I go there and I open the doors and make it happen. And that's why sometimes I get disappointed when people say, oh no, I can't do this and I can't do that. And that's why I also get very disappointed when I see people begging at the streets. And why are you begging? Because if you're begging here on the street, how are you going to be looking for a job? You're not looking for a job. You are standing here in the street the whole day. You don't expect jobs to come to you. you know and so, well, but the important parting message, the important word is perseverance. Just persevere, you'll get it.
And Roger, I am sure that this message is going to change millions of lives today, because, yes, perseverance, when we talk about it, really changes. And that's the change we are going to transform in the world today. So, once again, thank you so much, Roger, for coming to our show and enlightening everybody's life, everybody's knowledge, everybody's wisdom today on the Global Talk Show. Once again, heartfelt thanks to you too.
You're welcome. And goodbye to all your viewers. Thank you very much, Supriya, for the time and opportunity.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, my global audience, for always inspiring us. So keep staying happy, keep staying healthy, and always loving us. Thank you so much once again.